Welcome aboard! In today's video, we'll dive into building and weathering one of the most iconic submarines of World War II, the German Type 7C, in 1 to 350 scale from Revell. To take this kit a step further, I'll be adding some aftermarket details, periscopes, and gun barrels from Aber, along with photo-etched parts from Eduard. These will help sharpen the look of the model and bring out details that the standard kit doesn't fully capture. Taking a first look at the kit, the parts seem good, with decent detailing, though a few areas could use some refinement during the build. The kit also includes a small decal sheet for basic markings, and with that, it's time for the first cuts and to start the build. I began by gluing the two halves of the hull with extra thin glue, reinforcing the inside with Tamiya cement. Next came the deck. It required careful attention due to minor fit issues. Any small gaps were filled with Vallejo water-soluble putty, and the excess was wiped away with a damp cotton swab. With the hull and deck in place, it was time to move on to the propellers and rudders. I thinned the propeller blades to make them look more realistic and true to scale. To add the Eduard aftermarket details, I had to remove some of the plastic parts already molded in. For this, I used a scalpel and files. Photo-etched parts were glued in with cyanoacrylate. The trickiest part of the build was preparing the conning tower for the railings. It demanded precision and a lot of focus. Once the tower was glued to the deck, I began installing the railings. It was a real test of patience, and I lost count of how many attempts it took to get them perfectly positioned. But the final effect made all the effort worthwhile. Along the way, I decided the original antenna didn't look right, so I swapped it out for a thinner wire version for a more realistic look. When working with delicate photo-etched parts, it's very easy to damage them, so I cut them on glass using a fresh scalpel blade. Shaping the railings was another challenge, as they have a rounded form. I found that using a flexible mouse pad and the handle of a round brush made this much easier. I gradually shaped the parts, constantly checking the fit, and once satisfied, glued them in place. Next up were the periscopes and gun barrels. I had to remove the plastic barrels and drill small holes to fit the metal replacements. In the meantime, the periscopes were glued into position. With assembly complete, it was time to start painting. I began with a white primer. Mr. Surfacer. The first base color was Tamiya XF19, applied in a uniform, fully opaque layer. Once the model was masked, I added the second color, Tamiya XF17, to paint the underside of the hull. Shading came next. I mixed a lighter blend of XF17 and XF19 and applied irregular highlights, then gently blended everything with thinned base paint for a natural transition. The same process was used for the lighter camouflage color, though here I applied a slightly darker shade to create depth. Detail painting was done with a brush and acrylics, followed by a dark brown wash to increase contrast. Excess wash was removed using a clean brush and a cotton swab. I also used this wash to accentuate the scupper holes in the hull. I spent some time deciding how to add realistic operational wear and settled on using oil paints. First, I applied light salt discoloration using the dots technique. Dots of white paint blended with a dry brush. Rust streaks were painted with a fine brush and lightly blended to soften edges and reduce contrast. Finally, I added algae effects using a similar technique, blending the paint in multiple directions to create irregular green markings. To finish, I glued the antenna in place and set the model on a simple stand. And it was done! Thanks for watching, and see you next time.